the strong survive. Your chains will not hold me down. The break and fall to the ground. Can't tame these lions inside. The power is raining like thunder, ready for a fight. These lions inside. These lions inside. These lions inside. These lions inside. I had to learn to be the hero. I started on a heaven zero in a city like a jungle. I had to get mine. Never give, you gotta take. Be the catapult to storm the gates. Cause the champion is never giving in. See you through till the end of days. Till the end of days. Your chains will not hold me down. The break and fall to the ground. Can't tame these lions inside. The power is raining like thunder, ready for a fight. These lions inside. These lions inside. Can't tame these lions inside. Can't tame these lions inside. The ground that they're walking ain't cutting through their skin. They're hunting down their prey to the bitter end. The ground that they're walking ain't cutting through their skin. They're hunting down their prey to the bitter end. The ground that they're walking ain't cutting through their skin. They're hunting down their prey. Let the games begin. Your chains will not hold me down. The break and fall to the ground. Can't tame these lions inside. The power is raining like thunder, ready for a fight. These lions inside. These lions inside. Can't tame these lions inside. Can't tame these lions inside. This ground that they're walking ain't cutting through their skin. They're hunting down their prey through the bitter end. This ground that they're walking ain't cutting through their skin. They're hunting down their prey. Let the games begin. All the people wanna get in the circus, trying hard to keeping up with the Joneses. Everything is kind of trouble and purpose. And you're lying in a bed of roses. I never dreamed of getting in the action. Life moves with all the surprises. I never dared with chemical reaction. It comes down to this, you're gonna be a tough act to follow. And you better believe it. Just take a bite and see that it's gonna be too much to swallow. You better believe it. Yeah, I got one more trick, but you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. You're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. Oh, I feel I like the way I got up from the start. I was under pressure. I feel right away. It comes down to this. Yeah, you're gonna be a tough act to follow. And you better believe it. Just take a bite and see that it's gonna be too much to swallow. You better believe it. Yeah, I got one more trick, but you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. To follow. Yeah, you're gonna be a tough act to follow. To follow. You're gonna be. Ooh. Everybody's talking at me lately, trying to stop me doing what I do. So I take out the trash and then I slip out the back in my alligator boots. Slipping to the car, dropping, acting crazy. Coming up on the stage and now make this not amazing. It feels so good to be free, let loose. Chasing around and the beat, I got everybody shaking like it's New Orleans, yeah, baby. It feels so good to be free. Got everybody shaking like it's New Orleans, yeah, baby. It feels so good to be free. Got tomorrow, you still feel it, baby. Infected with the rhythm and blues. Honey, that's alright. We only live for the night, so let's shake this room. This is not a fantasy, just my life and how I live. Burning down a house and I'ma make you all complacent. Hey, what y'all doing over there? This ain't no time to leave. I've been waiting all night. It feels so good to be free, let loose. Chasing around on melody, I got everybody shaking like it's New Orleans, yeah, baby. It feels so good to be free. Everybody's talking at me lately, trying to stop me doing what I do. So I take out the trash and then I slip out the back in my alligator boots. Getting all rhythm, you ain't quiet. Yeah, this one I'm just preaching to the choir. Yeah, ain't no need to slow it down. We can go another round. Bet you I can take you even higher. It feels so good to be free, let loose. Chasing around.
Yo! What's up, everyone? Clap gets Patrick every time. He's like, oh, wait, we're about to go live. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. It's been a long time for me. It's been a really long time for me.
I know. How you doing, Patrick?
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Yeah. Doing all right on my end. We've had a rough couple of weeks on the family side, but we're getting through it. So it'll be yes, okay. Paul. It is chilly up here. So the heater is on. It's 60 degrees Fahrenheit in the office this morning.
No heater for this guy. No heater. No
heater. Yeah. So yeah.
But you're good, though. You're doing all right.
Yeah. As well as can be expected.
Good.
Chatmaster C says Patrick's audio is a little low. On your mic. Do you want to bump it up a little, maybe? On your end?
What about now?
Oh, that sounded better.
I did.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah. All
right. That's what happens when you haven't done it for a while and you come back and you got to readjust.
I know.
Yeah. Chris, it's not. It's cooler outside. I think it's in the 40s, 50s outside. So it's gonna get warm again. It's gonna go back into the 70s and 80s. It's had a very warm winter. We haven't had a winter. So RBI guy got a new dog. Excellent. Yeah, you're on your way. You need a few more though. Yeah.
I see James. Asked me what shoes I'm wearing.
Oh, so yeah. What are the kicks in the cube?
The only time I do the kicks
Sandals?
in the cube is when I'm out and about. Yeah, it's when I'm out and about. Right now, I got some Crocs on. But check this out. So the reveal, Adam. So the Power BI team changed the accent colors on Power BI, and I had my black and yellow Jordan 1. So I decided to do this. Right? Match the accent color. So I decided to match the accent color. So I went out and got me some ones that kind of match the accent color. So there you go. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So Thomas said they wanted to see the rest of your shirt. So it's the cloud. Yeah, it was the SQL Server 2022 launch shirt. So
yeah, I was in the keynote at Past Summit.
I'm wearing a new shirt. It's Darkwing Duck. So
Darkwing Duck. That's a cool shirt. That's a cool shirt. And so just a shameless plug here. A shameless plug for Alex and I are doing a workshop at the Atlanta SQL Saturday on February the something, 24th, 25th.
February the something.
Alex Powers. Yeah. And so it's going to be nice. Day after dashboard in a day. It's really a little bit after dashboard. It's not a day after, but I like the name. Alex came up with this great name, so we're just going with it. So come check us out. We're here in Atlanta. So it'll be fun. We couldn't convince Adam to come.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that was a no. Sorry. Sorry, not
Paul,
sorry.
I think I have 42 pairs of sneakers, Paul. I think it's 42. Yeah. I
gotta get some before SQL Bits in March. So
yeah. SQL Bits. We're going to
SQL Bits. We're going to be in the UK. Yeah, Wales. We're going to Wales.
Yeah.
All right. If you are new to Guy in a Cube or new to the live stream, put hashtag new in the chat. We always love seeing the new faces and just appreciate everyone being here, spending your Saturday with us, and or going into Sunday for all of those in the Australia, New Zealand area. So yeah. Also, shout out to members of Guy in a Cube. You help us do what we do here on the channel, so very much appreciate that. If you want to learn more about being a member, check out the link on the screen or hit the join button down below if you're on YouTube. So just thank you for that. No commitment required. Just a big thank you from all of us. So look at that. Scott coming in, member for 24 months, excited about Power Query GPT in a day. Nice. I love that. If you see folks with a green name or the Guy in a Cube logo next to their name, those are members of Guy in a Cube. So just huge shout out to all of you. I love it. I appreciate it. All right. Rules. We have some rules for the questions. So please put Q colon in front of your question. Chatmaster C is standing by to get them queued up. One time is all you need, and it will get queued. So please do not spam the chat. We have a 3 strikes rule here on Guy in a Cube. 3 strikes, and you will get put into a timeout by either Chatmaster C or one of our lovely moderators, except for Patrick. So, Patrick doesn't do that. Alex coming in 34 months as a member. Bananas, saying hashtag old. Yeah. So you're still younger than us, Alex. So, you got that going for you.
Well.
And then Chris Wagner coming in, member for 33 months. Thank you, Chris. You've been a long-time supporter. Always behind It's Not About the Cell. Okay. Oh, love it. All right, so let's check out, see who's new here. Going up. So I think that's the first one I see is Eugene's here. Eugene, man, good to see you. Glad you're here. Jonathan is new. Tiffany is new. And Eugene's going to be at SQL Bits. Excellent. Will be great to see you.
All right.
Bradley's new. AE is new. I'm going to say Jesus is new. I think that's how you pronounce that. Let's see if we got any others here.
Wow. South Africa.
I don't see any others. JP, thanks for coming in from South Africa. It's I always get amazed by just folks around the world participating. I love the community. So, all right, and Chewy coming in with 31 months as a member. Just again, longtime supporter. Appreciate it. And then Wyatt, wow, thank you, gifting 10 Guy in a Cube memberships out there. So we got some new folks. So JP is a member now. Toma's a member. Candace is a member. Ian's a member. Hachi's a member. Let's see. Tron is a member. Alex, Nikhil, Jadwiga, and Ali is a member. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Wow. Thank you, Wyatt. Very much appreciate that. So, and I don't know the... there it goes.
James am I a member yet?
Nope. No, Patrick and I actually aren't members. Neither's Chatmaster C. So that's why we get nervous every time someone gifts a membership. We're like, please don't let it be us. Please.
I was like, please not me.
Yeah. It doesn't. So, all right. Cool. Wyatt, am I a member? Yeah, Wyatt, you're a member. Oh my gosh. So, all right.
Jason, I got to save all my money for the It Depends chart. You are right.
Yeah. And Gary, thank you for becoming a member as well. Very much appreciated. So, excellent. All right. Let's get to the queue. Are you ready, Patrick?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm excited.
So, Sam coming in with the first question. So, I want to pull data from GA4, so Google Analytics 4, to Power BI. What's the best solution to import it, considering no official connector available yet, plus avoiding third-party external connectors? So that's a problem. You're pretty much going to have to work. Yeah, that's a problem. You've cuffed my hands there. So you're going to have to work with the API directly from a Power Query perspective, which is not trivial. That is complicated to do. There are blogs and stuff out there on just in general working with APIs and Power Query directly. Anita, that's a problem, Char.
That's a good one, though. That's a problem. That's a good one.
That's a problem. So typically when there's not a connector inside of Power BI, I go towards, looking for a custom connector. Usually I tell people to go check out cdata.com because they've got a whole bunch of connectors. I'm sure they've got one for Google Analytics, but it is a paid connector, so you got to pay for it. And you said that you want to avoid that. So that's the easy road. The hard road's going to be writing a bunch of custom M syntax to work with the API directly. So, so it's complicated.
So is this a it depends, or is it's complicated?
No, it's complicated because he said that he didn't want a third party connector. So it'd be an it depends if it was allowing the third party connector. But it's not because he said he didn't want that. So I'm like, you got to go write some custom M script. So
it's complicated.
Yes, it's complicated. All right. So for those that don't know, for those that are new, so if the answer to the question starts off with it depends, We put $1 into the jar, and then at the end of the year, we will donate that to charity. So we did that this last year. It was a lot of fun, yeah. So I think we had over, it was like, I don't know. And also, I don't see, was Kevin in the chat also keeping track? Chewy, you may have to stand in for Kevin. It was over $200 that I think we had in the It Depends jar.
I don't know. I
don't remember what the
remember
final tally was.
Remember, I put all the money that I had left in the jar.
Yeah.
So.
I know. I know. Matthew said every dollar that goes into the It Depends jar, Matthew rolls his eyes. So, yeah. Oh, Kevin is here. There you go. Kevin's in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was over. I know it was over 200. It might have been like 220 something. I don't remember. So, but yeah, that's what we do with It Depends. So that's why the last question was not an It Depends, because we were blocked on the advanced connectors. So, all right, Susie. Let's see here. Can you explain the data connector in more detail? Curious about how it applies when source. Oh, data gateway.
The data
connectors on my mind. Curious about how it applies when sources are in a combination of types. SharePoint lists, SharePoint files, local network files. Yes. So the gateway itself obviously allows you to connect to sources. There's a challenge. So this is definitely going to be an It Depends. There is a challenge of when you have those mixed sources. So obviously the gateway is intended for. It says on premise, but just know that even like say if you're hosting a database in a VM that's in the cloud, I still consider that on premise. So it's basically a source that Power BI cannot connect directly to. So that could be various number of sources. And so if you do that and you define it in the gateway. And you have these mixed sources, then you have a choice to make. One is you can define, so let's say you've got a SharePoint Online list, which is a cloud source, right? So you can define that in the gateway, and the gateway, it'll basically go through the gateway at that point and combine those items. There's also I'm gonna go over to my machine and show. Let's go to manage. Let's see if I even have, what the heck? They changed the label. Manage connectors. Let me go over to my machine.
Yep.
All right. And we'll go into, let's see if this even be on the gateway itself. So if I go into this gateway, let's go to settings. There should be a setting here that says allow data cloud sources to refresh through this gateway cluster. And so what that'll do is if you do have a cloud source defined in the data set, but you didn't actually create so basically you're saying allow it to mix the two together through the gateway. So you're going to route it through the gateway instead of it going to the cloud source directly. So that's where you're going to do that. So yeah. So Alex is bringing up a good point. I was just reading that about like if it's SharePoint on-prem or files that are on-prem, and then you've got another data source on-prem. So the gateway is going to mash those up. And so the thing about this check mark is that if you have a cloud source also, that it'll allow mashup within the gateway itself also, so it can be part of that. So, yep. I don't know if that answers your question, Susie. So. All right.
Yeah, Johnny, that's right. Is SharePoint on-prem still a thing?
Yeah, SharePoint on-prem is still there. It's getting less and less, is my understanding, though. It's kind of like the old Exchange days when you had Exchange on-prem and then Exchange online, and it's basically all Exchange online now.
Yeah.
So, Jeffrey coming in with a hashtag new. Look at that. Welcome, Jeffrey. So.
Well, you have to come to the Power Hour at Bits. You have to go to
come to the Power Hour
session at Bits.
Oh, yes.
To see, we got a big announcement. Adam and I, we have a big announcement.
Huge announcement.
Big announcement at Bits. So, yeah. You got to say.
Don't want to miss. Don't want to miss.
Big announcement. You don't want to miss it.
At the Power Hour session. So specifically there. Not during the keynote. Yes. During the Power Hour session.
No.
Saving it for the Power Hour. Paul, Project Fork.
You can't, Chris.
Don't give it away, Paul.
Chris, you gotta be there.
All right. For those that understand the power hour, you can probably guess where that's going. So Rob's got a question. What's the best way or resource for start learning DAX and master it? With so many resources right there, it's not like it's a straightforward like SQL or NoSQL or any other programming language. So hey, Alex, can you drop the link to the Learn course on Intro to DAX that Mr. Phil Seamark worked on?
Yeah, I was just looking for it. I'm sure I'm not going to be able to.
Hey, Alex will get it.
Get it all the time. Yeah.
So so I would say start the Learn course on Microsoft Docs or the Microsoft Learn area is a great place to start. So it's a good quality content. And SQL BI has a bunch of items there as well. So check out that link that Alex just dropped. That'll kind of walk you through things. They've also got an Intro to DAX course that's free out on SQLBI.com.
Yeah.
And they've got a bunch of other paid, like Mastering DAX and whatnot, that are not meant for intro.
Don't start. Yeah, don't start there though, right? SQL BI, they're amazing. Those guys are absolutely amazing. Also, Adam's going to bring up this book.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up the book.
Start with this book.
Don't start with this book, but this is a great book to have once you get past the intro things. So.
Yeah, don't start there. And Enterprise DNA also.
Yeah.
And so just don't start with the book. Now, I'll be honest with you. Alex and I are going to talk about some pretty good intro stuff that Dashboard in a Day does not cover at our session. So,
Yep. So, and I will tell you from a DAX perspective, like Patrick and I, we keep learning stuff. We learn stuff all the time. Even talking with Marco, talking with Phil, like we're all learning stuff all the time. So it's a constant journey.
I'm using these Windows functions, and I learned something the other day. It's pretty interesting. And people keep sending us messages about doing videos on offset and things like that. Chris Webb wrote an amazing blog post. You got to go cross join. I never remember Chris's blog, but he just wrote a blog. I had to send him a message. It was a great blog on offset, but it's the performance that he's talking about, the performance gain that you get. So everybody should go and read that blog if you have any interest in that offset function. And he and I were chatting. He's like, just do a video on it. I'm like, you already wrote a blog post. I'm not doing a video on that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to point people to your blog post. Go look at it. It's great. We all learn from Chris Webb. I've been learning from Chris Webb since I started this thing, man. So go check it out. It's a really good blog post.
So Benny asked, is that one technically an it depends? I would say yes.
I would say yes. Yes. I agree, Benny. I agree.
Yep. Cool. And then Sean also, thank you for becoming a member. Very much appreciated. Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So good question. Also, sorry, one other thing. All right. Let's see. Big John coming in with a question. How to write an ABC curve DAX formula for a database with 100. I have memory error every time.
With 100 plus K products, right? And so so I read about this ABC curve. I was reading about it. Wow, that's when I missed it. So I was reading about it. And it's actually not that difficult because you're creating a running total, a percentage of total, accumulated total, and then a percentage accumulated. Then you need to do like a ABC classification. And there's a DAX pattern for that, to do the ABC classification. But running out of memory, what's the size? How big is this model? Or where are you running out of memory at? On your desktop or in the service? I'm just curious about this memory error.
Yeah, it'd be good to know more. Like, where's the bottleneck? Where's the bottleneck?
Yeah.
Well, and it'd be interesting too. Like, if you're getting memory issue as well. Like, I wonder. Look at that. There's a DAXpattern.com. Is that where you went?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't understand what the ABC curve thing was, so I had to go look. There's like several calculations you got to get to the percentage accumulated, and then the percentage accumulated is where you do the ABC analysis. And so I would say first you need to do all that stuff. But even before with that, where are you getting the memory error at? That's what I need to know.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're getting the memory error at.
Well, and definitely check out the DAX pattern that's on the screen that Alex dropped in the chat. See if you're aligning to that as well. So, but knowing where that memory error is would be helpful.
Because the memory, it's kind of, it depends. Because where you get that memory error is going to determine what we tell you to do. If it's on the desktop, whatever you're doing with your measures and your DAX could be just, you could be materializing a crazy amount of information there. Same thing in the service, but I'm going to say this is it depends. So, because I need more information. In the accumulation, but that's not what, I'm sorry, Big John, I get that, right? When you do the DAX, but is this local to your machine? Is this in the service? In the accumulation, whatever you're doing with the accumulation, your DAX is probably just not optimized. And so you probably have something in your DAX that's materializing.
Or if you're running Power BI Desktop and your machine only has 8 gig of memory, you're probably running out of memory. So,
yeah, that's true too.
So make sure your machine's got more than 8 gig of RAM.
Marco and I did a video on that. I'm pretty sure we did a video on the memory being used.
Oh, and I did a video on it.
Marco and I did. Yeah. So there's.
Well, I did a video about memory in general and like desktop and hardware specs.
Marco and
I remember your thing. So I don't know that you went into. You were going to save that for another video, and I don't know that video was ever made.
No, we showed it.
I know you showed it. You showed it, but you didn't actually like go into the details because I was going to make the video longer, and you're like, "Oh, we'll do that in another video."
Oh, okay.
And never did it.
Yeah. So Johnny is right. So before you start tinkering with your DAX, go take a look at your data model because I'm gonna say it. Please don't take offense, Big John. You might have an ugly baby, and so you need to take a look at your data model. Maybe there's some bidirectional. There's some many-to-many relationships, some limited relationships, or in general, you're not following a good star schema. That's why I say it depends. There's so many things that could be causing this.
So user 457 desktop should be 16 gigabyte minimum, yes. Or if you're like this guy, all your laptops always have at least 64 gig of RAM in it. That's how I roll. Same. Or 128 if you can. I don't know. All right. No one is like that guy. Yeah. Anyway. So Toma, I see that you have questions in the queue, but let's save those for the member side now that you're a member also. Like resubmit them when we go into members only mode. What?
Forever twerp. The ugly baby has become such a technical term. It's true. I think Mark said it the other day. Mark Ruggiero said it. When he said it, I was like, okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow. All right. We've been saying it for a long time.
Yeah.
Hey, Jabwiga. Okay. So Jesus, let's go to Jesus. So, what do you think of the new AI tool to create DAX in Power BI? We've talked about this several times. We've had Marco comment on it as well. It's interesting. So it's not going to be perfect.
So it's suggestions, right? It's only making suggestions for you, and I think they're really clear in the messaging. It's not. It's a DAX suggestions. I forget the actual term. Yeah, they did.
No. I'm saying I'm going to Johnny's comment where he said Marco loves it. I'm like, no, Marco does not.
Yeah. No, Marco does not love it. But it makes suggestions for DAX, and I don't know. I tried it. It took me like 6 times before it actually generated some DAX for me. But hey, well,
So I would say anything that's generated from that, like validate. The values that are coming out, like you need to validate performance too. So if you start seeing performance issues, check it. Like I think it'll help with simple scenarios, but as you get into more nuanced and technically complex, it's not gonna be perfect. So you just got to validate it. So Cool. All right. Yeah, and Alex coming in as well. Validate. Trust but verify.
Yep.
Trust but verify.
Yep.
Well, then, not. I don't want to put words in Marco's mouth, but I would almost say he's like, I don't know that I trust it either. So, well, just verify. All right.
Marco's not here to defend himself.
Yeah,
So
he'd probably say that's a fair comment. Sean, taking the PL 300 in next 15 days. Any guidance on preparation? Study? Practice?
I didn't. I didn't take it.
Neither one of us have talked. So there's learn content out there. So there's some learning paths that can help with that. Go check those out. I'm sure there are other you're welcome. Great advice. Yes, I know. Anil, yes, we're in the US.
Everybody just said it. Johnny just said it. Kevin just said it. And I'm
Johnny, drop the link.
Guys have already passed.
Drop the link, Johnny.
Yeah, the MS.
Yeah, MS Learn is
that's what I
great.
hear. Yeah.
So that would be where I would start. So, and then, check out other things, like figure out where is it that you're struggling with and go push on that area. Like if it's Power Query, go find some specific content on that. Come up with projects that you can work on and play with, even if it's using AdventureWorks or something else like that. Yep. So, cool. All right. Good deal. Let's see, what's time? Ooh, got 3 minutes. Ooh. All right. Dollar. Let's see here. Could you make a video explaining possible solutions for connecting data with multiple granularity, like actual versus budget, retail sales, media share, a voice, etc.? So, connecting data.
Maybe.
With
I get it.
Yeah, no, I get it too.
So you got that. Yeah, let me think about it.
I would say there are strategies on doing that.
But the challenge is going to the different grains, right? And so when you're at the different grains and you're trying to, I get it, right? Different fact tables. And so when you're trying to go actual and budget, so budget's going to be at a higher grain than actual. Could potentially be. All right, put it on the whiteboard. I'm not that good, Alex. I'm not that good. I'm not.
So the other thing I would say too is going back to. So I'll drop this in the chat. So going back to Matthew Roach's maxim of data transformation. So if you do have those granularities, if you have them in the source, obviously you're going to pull in different tables, and then some of that's going to be put it on the box. Some of that's going to be either you're going to write some DAX that knows where those transitions are. And so Phil Seamark's got a lot of blogs on handling aggregations at different layers and doing switches on there. So if you go to dax.tips, he's got a bunch of blogs that talk about how you can do that within DAX and do the switch, but you need to know where those boundaries are. Or you can leverage manage aggregations with inside of Power BI to handle some of that. So. Yeah.
So Daryl says I did a video on it. I don't remember doing a video on it.
I don't remember a video specifically on that. So
I have one on multiple fact tables. I do have one on multiple fact tables, but not at different grains. But I guess it was at different grain. I guess it was. The challenge though, when you try to go across the two fact tables to do a comparison, if you don't have dimensions related at that level, you got to do some things in your DAX to accommodate for it. So that's the biggest challenge with doing multiple granularity, because if I have a salesperson dimension that's related to one and it's not related to the other, how do I effectively do any correlation between those two fact tables? I've got to handle that in DAX. I get the point. I understand what they're saying.
Yep. All right, Chatmaster C has thrown out there that she is clearing the queue. So members, you can submit your questions now and get them queued up. Apologies, there were other questions in the queue from non-members. Apologies that we didn't get to them. We never get through all of them. Come back next time and we'll try it again. or become a member, and we can try and get it in the member section. Also, members have the ability at the visitor and producer tier to pre-submit questions, and so that is an option as well. As with all things throughout the life of throughout the entirety of the stream, super chats always take priority. So if you do have a burning question and you're not a member and you do want to get it answered on today's stream, please, you can submit a super chat to get that answered. Just please remember to write in the question before you submit it. So cool. All right. With that, I am going to switch over into member-only chat, where only members and moderators can participate in the chat. Everybody can still enjoy the stream and learn all the great things, but only members and moderators will be able to participate in the chat. So let's go over and get into member-only chat. Also, as I mentioned, so members can, at visitor and producer tier, can pre-submit questions. We do have 2 pre-submitted questions today. So let's go to the first one. So the first one is, so I use card visuals to show information depending on the slicer selection. However, some selections have more characters than the other. Is there a way to have the font size automatically adjust based on the amount of text in the card? So for example, if it's a number, the font size would be, for instance, 15. Then if it's text, the font size would reduce, for instance, to 11. And so this is going to be a challenge with the card visuals specifically. So there are some visuals that will adjust font and size based on, so like line charts and bar charts. They are responsive to the size and will adjust the font size based on the size of the visual. But in terms of dynamically adjusting the set size of the font, that's not available today from like an expression perspective. So for color, for example, you can set from an expression perspective and then use conditional formatting, but the font size itself is not available. And so that's going to be a challenge on that front. So if that is something that you really do want, check out, go to ideas.powerbi.com, and I'm sure there's an item there for it. So vote it up to get that to be expression based. And then potentially you could handle it that way through a custom expression of some kind. So any thoughts on your end, Patrick?
So Chris just made me think, Chris Jones posted something about calculation groups. And because there's a format string in calculation group.
Yeah, but can you use that with a card visual?
But even if I can't, yeah, because that's what you return, so you can format it. It's like
that doesn't handle the font size,
right?
though.
So,
that's
I don't think it handles the font size.
It doesn't handle the font size.
I don't think it handles the font size.
Yeah.
Right?
So Daryl threw out use the Deneb visual, so that's a possibility. I don't have experience with that myself. I know talking to Pat Mahoney a lot, he loves it, and so maybe we can convince him to do a video on something like that.
Yeah, with Deneb. Yeah.
So
yeah.
It might take some extra work to get that working, though.
Yeah, I had to think about the calc format string. You can't do font size.
Nope.
He broke me for a few minutes. I was like, font size?
Yeah. Or Ben. Video, Ben's been doing a lot with Deneb as well. So Ben, I don't know if you've got a video on doing something like that or. So yeah,
Pat loves Deneb. Pat does love Deneb.
That's all he talks about.
He does.
I'm like, you go, man.
He loves Deneb.
All right, so that one's going to be a challenge. So from a base Power BI desktop perspective, it's just not an option today. So, Ben, the only 3 minutes I wasn't listening. Yeah. So Ben, we were talking about dynamic. So the question from the member was in a card visual, like if they have numbers, they want the font size to be like 15, but if it's text, they want it to be 11. How can we dynamically change the font size for a card visual? And like in the base Power BI desktop, that's not an option. And so Daryl brought up Deneb as well, and so your name was dropped on that front as well. So.
I just wasn't listening.
I wasn't listening. The one time that you should have been listening. All right. So moving on. Who's Your BI is Pat's blog. I don't know, Alex, if you want to drop his blog in the chat.
He actually put a couple of good videos up on some stuff he and I were looking at with matrix visuals, so performance tuning. That's not Power Query. That's not Deneb. It's two really good videos, so you should go check them out. Yeah.
Okay, so going to the second member question, we're switching gears into paginated. So in this one, I have a data set that contains in a column a combination of plain text or encoded HTML table or encoded images. How can I display this into a paginated report? There was a follow-up also saying that, look, sometimes it displayed like the values that were in there, but images never work. But sometimes like the actual, you can see there in the image, it's got like tables listed as well. Sometimes that works. Yeah, so I don't know, Patrick, what are your thoughts?
The easiest thing is just clean it up, right? Clean it up, put one thing. If there's images, put just those images in that column. But then, with all the tagging, the HTML stuff wrapped around it, you probably need to go get that, just that base 64. And there's so much involved here. The first thing, clean up the data. Right?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, and I would say like for the, if you've got base 64 images, have that in its own column. Like don't mix that with other text values. The other thing would be, like even if you did have it mixed in with other columns, then you could do expressions around checking. But in the example that was provided, you have the HTML around the base 64. It's got to be just the base 64 value. So get rid of the image tag and all of that, and then you can leverage that from an image perspective. So, and there's blogs out there on how to do this. Johnny, I don't know if you've got videos on it.
There's one on SQL Tips. It's an old one for SSRS. So the one thing that I want to tell people is when you start searching the internet for solutions for paginated report, search SSRS
or reporting services.
SQL Server reporting services. Right?
You'll find
a lot of them,
if you
just search paginated.
Yes.
If you search paginated, you won't find the answer a lot of times. But if you search SSRS, base 64, encoded text images, that's what I did. And MSSQL tips, there's a solution but it involves SSIS and things like that. I think that's a little too far, but search SSRS. Search it with SSRS.
You'll find a lot of old content from like Mr. Paul Turley. And then also like I know Laura's done a bunch of videos as well. Johnny's done a bunch of paginated videos, but like there's tons of old content out there. Reporting services and the RDL format's been out there for decades. So
look what Johnny put. Johnny said put it in a rectangle.
No, I know. Yeah, so he had the thing where I was just like, this is like the one. This rectangle's not going to help you on this one.
Because if it's in a rectangle and it doesn't work, take it out of the rectangle and it will work. So
and vice versa. So that's specifically for like blank pages and things of that nature. Yep. So So it's you just gotta be careful with the base 64 will work, but the way you're handling it is not going to work. So you gotta clean it up. All right. Moving on. Let's see here. Okay, let's go to Thoma's questions. So there's 2 here. I'm going to go, there was a funny question and a serious question. I'm going to go with the serious one just because that probably has more value for you. So can we get rid of month from relative date slicer and just keep the calendar month? Apparently end users don't know the difference between the two.
I don't know what that means.
So I think, is that the drop down for the relative slicer where you choose the, and if that's the case, then the answer there's no. I'm
gonna have to open up and look.
One thing I would say is this is where providing documentation and education around report usage is helpful. And so some things you can do is like have like an image overlay. So actually, let me go to my machine real quick. I'll show you an example of where you can do this. And I've got videos on how to, like an info panel. So like you can do something like this where you can put some text around it and show, like, hey, for this slicer, do X, Y, Z. Or you can even have like an information tooltip for the help of the visual that says how you can use that and explain the difference between calendar month and fiscal month or whatever. So those are options that you can do to provide education on how things work. But yeah, the actual drop down doesn't.
There's 2 choices. There's one for months and there's one for calendar months.
Okay, can you zoom in on that? Ooh, that's interesting. And then calendar weeks and
weeks. This is my first time noticing this.
And then year and calendar years.
This is my first time in calendar years.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
What's the difference?
I don't know the difference here. I don't know the difference.
Calendar months.
Oh, come back.
So when someone put a comment in there, I saw it scrolling by that. So calendar month. Yeah, Miss Belinda said this as well. So the calendar month is the full month, whereas month is just like 30 days. But then what about years? So calendar year would be the full year. Years would be maybe just 365. There's got to be. Do we not have document? Yeah, I know.
I don't know, y'all. I gotta look at
all
this.
Right, we'll follow up on that.
We'll
follow up on that.
Full. Yeah,
that might be a good video.
I don't know.
That might be a good video. An interesting video.
I gotta look at that. That would be an interesting video. I'm gonna look at this. I'm writing it down. I'm writing it on the box.
Oh. The answer there, though, in that drop down is you're not gonna be able to get rid of that. So best thing is provide education for your users. Put it on the whiteboard. That's what Alex said. Put it on the whiteboard.
I gotta look at this. God, this is gonna break my day. Okay.
I'm sure if you go to the documentation, there's got to be something there that maybe I might be assuming too much.
I'm going to look right now. I'm going to look.
Terry, thank you for becoming a member. Very much appreciated. So, all right, cool. Daryl, what are the scenarios where my users will benefit from Power BI dataset scale out? The biggest, so this is query scale out for Power BI Premium. The biggest scenario is concurrency. And so if you want, so Azure Analysis Services has had this for a long time. So in terms of read replicas, so you can do that with Azure Analysis Services. And so now query scale out is there for Power BI Premium, and concurrency is the biggest thing. You were going to say something, Patrick.
Yeah, but not just concurrency. You get reliable. Right, I read the documentation on this. I read it everything when they deployed it. It's for the performance of your refresh and your query operations, because you got to think about this, right? We are isolating your refresh on this read-write replica. So we have a single replica that's read-write, and that's where all the refreshes are going to happen, okay? And then I have this scaled out, and it goes to concurrency. I'm not disagreeing with you on the concurrency thing, but it'll give you like a more reliable performance. So like, if you got all these refreshes running, and then I just had this. This was the whole thing. I was working with the customer this week, and you have these terrible queries. They're going to hit those read replicas, and you never have to worry about your refreshes. It keeps people. So while the refresh is happening, you don't have to worry about anything going on with your queries. And then once the refresh completes, it syncs it up. So you get you get some more consistency from a performance perspective with your refreshes and your query operation. So concurrency is huge, but think about refreshes, especially if you have big models that you're trying to refresh that take a bit. People can keep querying those other models, those read replicas while that's happening behind, and you still could do it, but it just gives you more consistency. So trying to figure out a video on this. I'm desperately trying to figure out a video on this. So and then Daryl asked, what about, how does that work with CPU limits? So check out the documentation. The CPU limit thing is complex. What was the hashtag? It's complicated. It's complicated. But definitely check out the docs. That is consider CPU limit, and the CPU in general is a consideration on it. But there are definitely use cases that will benefit from it. I work with several customers that will benefit from that. You what? Yeah, the documentation is really good on the relative thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, on the relative. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You went backwards. So also the scale out is not to be confused with the auto scale capability of Power BI Premium as well. So like it's different things there. So be aware of that. Okay. Ian, the dataset scale out has some interesting nuggets in the first revision. It's funny. All right, let's moving on. Let's go with conditional formatting in a multi-row card for each measure separately. Any ideas? When you say for each measure separately,
Yeah, they would have to use. You format the measures, right?
You do the formatting in the
Conditional
measure.
formatting.
Yeah.
Conditional formatting for the measure, though. Conditional formatting for the measure. Is this where you can use format string, right, in the calculation group?
Well, so I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So when you do conditional formatting, you specify the measure because you can say or by field and give it the measure, right? But you're saying you want multiple measures for each measure separately. So you have different measures that you want to apply, but the problem is on the visual, like you've only got that one kind of scenario selection. What was the thing?
Yeah.
What was the thing we were playing around with where we got it to? Didn't that have to do with calculation groups as well, where we could set it for each different calculation group? And I thought we did a video on this, where so if you're using calculation groups, like when you make the different selection and it changes the aspect of the visual, then you can go through, but there's a lot of clicks in there and it gets confusing very quickly. But there was a way I could do that for the different measures that were represented inside of the calculation group. It was, I want to say we did a video on that. I remember we mucked around with it.
Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to go look at that.
Yeah.
So did I not use a smart narrative though? Because I mean, you could use a smart narrative and format it, and then conditionally format the color in the smart narrative. Can you remember that?
Can I remember that?
That question? The question. I just need you to hold on to the question.
What in our history suggests to you that I remember things like that in the future?
Oh my God.
Just saying. I will try. I will try. I just remember, like, do you remember we played around with that though, where I showed you, like, we did do the video. So it was the DAX versus simple clicks, where you had a DAX version to do it, and then I went back and said, no, we can just do this with a few clicks. That was the video. Alex, can you find that video and drop it? So that was where we used calculation groups with conditional formatting. And that was bananas. That was the video. That was the video.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Kevin said he's going to send me the question. So if you can't remember the question, Kevin's going to send me the question.
So, but that video, go check out that video. That may help you.
Okay. Right.
So.
Thank you so much, Kevin. I appreciate you.
And Chat Master C put me the she sent me a Teams message that says, there, now you can remember. I'm like, I'm not going to go back and look at that though. So that's.
She can technically send me a Teams.
I appreciate. You could send it to Patrick too. I appreciate the effort, but I don't think that's going to help.
Put it on the box.
I would also go back to Chat Master C. What in our history has suggested that I would remember such things, even if you text me or put it in Teams? That's still Yolita, thank you for the super chat.
Sent it to me.
Yep. Appreciate the super chat. If you meant that as a question, you did not include the question, so sorry. But appreciate the super chat nonetheless. All right, moving on. I don't know if Alex found that video or not. So it was DAX versus clicks or something like that. Wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long.
Yeah. It was basically like which one's better, or like which one, I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'll have to dig it up. But yeah, it's like DAX versus clicks or something. I don't know.
For each measure. For each measure in a multi-row card. That's not, because it's the same measure. It's going to be the same measure.
Yeah.
Unless you have multiple measures in the card. But if we're talking about total sales amount and you're displaying it for every country on each one of the cards in the multi-row card, yeah, that's interesting. Well, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if you can do that.
I'm looking real quick to see if I can find the video, but
that was a good video.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's the thumbnail is from 4 months ago. The thumbnail says DAX versus clicks, and I'm in the thumbnail. It says Patrick versus Adam. That's the video. So if you can grab that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can grab that. The title of it is Conditional Formatting with Field Parameters. Oh, that's what it was. It was field parameters that was doing it. That's right. That's right.
Benny, that's what I said. If you use smart narratives, but the problem is, I'm guessing they want to use the card because you would have to, like, I got these different categories that I'm trying to display the measure for. How would you control that in the smart narrative?
Well, so I'll throw this out there because it was, and Ben, if maybe you're not listening at this point either, but maybe use Deneb Visual and do it there. I don't know.
Yeah. No. Thomas got the answer. I'm telling you, this is the answer.
I turn it into a matrix, switch values to rows. Turn the grid border color to white. Thank me later. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Moving on. Oni.js 15.
The answer is always the negative.
It's complicated.
So I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you this now. Read the question slow. My iPad just locked up, so I can't see the questions.
Okay.
In front of me. So if you can read them a little slow,
Is there I'll read it slow for Patrick. Is there a performance hit for using native query versus a view if you're not using any Power Query transformations? I will say it depends.
God dang it.
That's an it depends.
Why? Tell me why it's an it depends.
So it's an it depends because so when you're going native query, right, by default, so it depends on the source that you're using, and it also depends if you're using just the default, you just went to native query, or if like you're using SQL Server, you can put in fold the native query. So it all has to do with folding.
Yeah, but I thought at the end they said they're not doing any transformations. Did I miss that part at the end? Yeah. But
it's also the question, if you're not folding though, where are you doing the performance of that? Are you doing it on the Power Query side, or so the folding is going to have to do if you're doing the transformations. That's true.
Yeah. So I don't have to worry about the folding. And so
really, you're not doing any transformations?
But it still depends. It still depends on your backend system, right? It depends on how it handles caching, query plans, how it handles SQL like that. Back in the day, you couldn't do dynamic SQL like that because it wouldn't generate quick. This is way dating myself.
Your audio went choppy again.
How did it?
Yeah, a little bit. Keep going.
I'm just gonna not talk for the rest of the live stream. I'm not gonna talk for the rest of the live stream.
It's wigging out.
Okay, go for it. I'm gonna be quiet.
So I mean it's that, right? So it's check your performance, look at the numbers, right? See which one performs faster. If you're not seeing a difference or it doesn't matter, then who cares? But if you are seeing a hit, then go look at what's going on there. So I know you can hear Patrick, but it's like on my end, it's like choppy on Patrick. Maybe not. Everyone's saying fine for them.
It's just you. It sounds like
it's just me.
You.
It's just me.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's possible.
Yeah. Anyway, I still say it depends, though. It still depends.
Absolutely.
You keep. Yeah.
Yep. That's a you problem. That's entirely possible. I mean, like, I can definitely hear it.
It's definitely, it depends, though.
Nobody listens to Patrick anyway. Oh, ain't that the truth?
Keep going. Let's go.
All right. Daff has got a question. Concept. Do you think the window function could introduce maintained state in a process calculation? I don't think so. Because like you're not going to be able to.
That's where visual calcs come in, right?
Yeah.
When that comes out, and they've been demoing it. But so I've been tinkering with these Windows functions. But I don't. When you say maintain state.
To me, that signals like a global from measure to measure, like that kind. You're maintaining the state of that, and I'm like, whenever you get into that, like, it's not. That's probably not going to work.
Yeah.
I would say no.
Yeah. If that's what you're talking about, yeah. Look, I like Kevin. I like what Kevin just said. Post that up. You see what
the Patrick has the answers you need. Gynacube has the answers you hear. That's the truth.
Yeah,
it's true. I say that all the time. Patrick makes the videos you need. Adam makes the videos you watch. We got the numbers to prove it. So
yes, we do.
We do. Daryl saying visual calc with a question mark. What is that?
Oh, see, we're trying to get permissions. We're trying to get permissions to show it at bits. So
well, they showed it. Didn't they show it at the conference that was in Chicago? Rez's thing. Didn't your own show it?
Yeah.
So he did a demo on it.
He did.
So
and it's in one of the roadmap.
It's an update that's coming.
Plans,
yeah, it's an update that's coming.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Miss Belinda said, "Yep, Chicago." So, Rotini, thank you for becoming a member. Very much appreciated. Yeah. So it's been demoed, so it's not like you're breaking NDA or anything. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know. Based on what happened with your laptop this morning, that's a funny story.
Oh, that was scary. That was scary.
Patrick got some nasty messages from Microsoft IT going like, "Dude, we're gonna shut down your account."
Yeah. With everything happening this week, I got worried. With everything.
He's taking care of it, but was
with everything happening this week, I was like, "Am I gonna be here on Monday?"
Yeah. Okay. All right, moving on.
I may have gone to Twitter and said, "Hey, is anybody hiring?
Yeah,
is
anyone hiring?
I'm looking for a job."
I don't know. I don't think you're technical enough, Patrick. So. All right. Forever Torp's got a question here. Because it always depends. Yes, it does. When you're attempting to avoid saying it, what are your go-to probing questions to explore the use case? Well, it depends on what the original question is. I like some of that's kind of like an art. So like I've done that a lot. Like in my support background when I was in support, and trying to dig in, trying to like read between the lines, understand like they're saying this, but they really mean this. So a lot of it's just trying to get background. Like when you say, you've got a problem with X, like, what does that mean? Like, or, hey, like, I'm trying to do this. Like, what's the best way to do it? Like, well, I mean, it depends on what your goals are. So I try to harness Matthew Roach, in that, Matthew doesn't like it.
But if you ever talk to Matthew, I was going to bring up Matthew. If you ever talk to Matthew and you ask him a question, he probes. It is a phenomenal job the way he probes, and it depends on what you ask him. I hate to say that, but it really does. But when he is very
the number one thing I hear Matthew reiterate over and over, and like this is his go-to thing to get people to think. Cannot be honest. Is he'll say like, "What's your goal for what you're trying to accomplish?"
Yeah.
Right, and then that kind of tells you where that split is and which path you're going to go down. So start with that. What's your goal, and then work from there. I would say that's the biggest thing. Yeah. What problem you're trying to solve?
I mean, he's the king of it. He's the king of it. He really is. He really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So. Oh man! All right, Gary. He prefers bites. I don't know what that was in reference to, but so Gary coming in. Can you make a series to demo how to leverage AI to improve your reports? How to ask the right questions using your data sets info. I think that would be fun and interesting learning experience. Maybe. I don't know. Part of it is like I don't.
That's all you, Adam.
They're interesting. We have done some videos in the past on it, but they do have some interesting use cases. Some of it also comes down to what's your definition of AI. Because there are AI visuals inside of Power BI. I've heard some comments from folks saying like, well, that's not really like an AI thing. So it depends on where you're coming. Oh, so it depends. It comes on like where your mindset is on that front. So they are leveraging like learning models and things like that. But in terms of we'll look at it and prioritize it against other things. I would say there's probably a lot of other things that have higher priority than that. So, but appreciate the suggestion. Okay, Miss Belinda. And we're at the clock. So, Miss Belinda, you've got the last question. Here we go. I haven't tried this, but can I open Reporting Services RDL in paginated reports?
Yeah.
So going back to like probing questions. So when you say paginated reports, do you mean Power BI Report Builder?
Report Builder.
Or do you mean like just taking Reporting Services RDL and publishing it to the service? And so I would say it may work, it may not. So
go ahead and say it depends.
It does depend.
It depends on what's in the RDL, because there's certain things that are not supported yet. So what I would do is go through the migration tool, and there's actually two of them.
Yes, the migration tool is excellent.
Yeah. I'm going to go on do a video of the second migration tool, because they announced that you can run paginated reports where? Where can you run paginated reports now, Adam? Where can you run them? Where can you run them? Right?
In Pro.
You don't need premium
in Pro.
anymore. Yeah,
in Pro.
You can run them in Pro. And so, but Miss Belinda, I would open the paginated report with the Power BI Report Builder and not the SSRS Report Builder. And it should give you some indication of what's going to work and what's not. But even before you do that, try a migration. Just try to migrate that report up.
Yep.
And if it can't, it'll tell you why you can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, so Alex's comment, Power BI Report Builder, where you can't build Power BI reports, but you can build paginated reports. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We still had questions in the queue. Appreciate that, everyone. Come back next time. We'll get to them next time. We didn't get through all of them, so. And that does it for this Saturday. So, Patrick, any words of wisdom?
No, not right now.
The only thing I will say is, if you have kids, give them a hug.
Yeah.
Give them a hug.
Yeah, give them a hug. Right. Yeah.
Tell them that you love them and whatnot. So, yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Every day.
Yes, every day. Yeah. All right, everyone. That does it for us this week. We'll be back next Saturday. Appreciate you. Stay safe. Have a great week ahead of you. We'll see ya.
To avenge us, but we will never back down. We don't have to run, be afraid no more. When the thunder comes, we won't fear the storm. Can you hear the drums beating louder than before? This means war.